Alright, in the last test review video, we're going to talk about how to do these inequalities here, the system of inequality application problems. So in this one, you're buying lunch for your friends. You have $32 to spend. You can buy burritos and burgers, and burritos cost $6 and burgers cost $5. Now the problem with burritos and burgers is they're both B's, so we'll make our burritos X and our burgers Y, just so that we have them kind of right there. And our inequalities. So the easiest inequality would be 6x plus 5y has to be less than or equal to the $32 you have to spend. Okay? Now this doesn't seem like a system of inequalities, but it truly is, because x has to be, the number of burritos has to be bigger than 0, and y also has to be bigger than 0. Now, this doesn't have quite as large a number as some of the other problems that we've dealt with before. So some of the problems we've done in the past have needed you to come up with some really large numbers to put on a graph. In this case, it's not so bad. Now, one of the things that we can do is we can figure out what's the maximum number of burgers and what's the maximum number of burritos you can spend. Now, if you have $6 per burrito and you have 32 burritos, the most you can have is 5 burritos, right? Because if you start doing that 6 burritos, it could cost $36 and we're going to be out of money. And the most number of burgers you can buy would then be, well, if it's 5, I can buy 6 burgers. So when I go to draw this graph here, oh, that's ugly. I can put my X, which was my burritos, my Y, which is burgers. And right now I only have to really go up to this. I'm going to make 6 tick marks each direction. But this graph, I mean, the easy way of graphing it is just to plot those couple. So we can go up to 6 burgers and 5 burritos. And then I can draw my line, which should be a solid line down there. Now, I mean, the truth of the matter is, I can get these to be a little bit more accurate. So if I move over your 6x, so minus the 6x, minus the 6x, I get 5y is less than or equal to negative 6x plus 32, and then I divide by 5 to everything. I get y to be less than or equal to negative 6/5, which would be negative 1.2 if I really wanted to, plus, well, what's 32 divided by 5? 30 divided by 5 would be 6 and 2/5, which would be 4/10, so 6.4. So this really should be up to 6.4, because I can spend more than 6 burgers, right? But I can't really buy a 0.4 per burger, so that rounding down business kind of has to happen. So either way, I'm going to get something really close to this, either this number, because this y-intercept doesn't really make that much sense, or this number itself. Is a less than symbol, so I do shade underneath. One of the other questions that you're asked sometimes is, what are solutions and what do they mean? That's our next question down here. And in this case, we pick a number that would be a solution. Oh, try to back this up here. I'm just going to get rid of this part. So one of the solutions would be something like 1, 2, which would be if I bought 1 burrito, because burritos are X, and 2 burgers, I would still have enough money. So this one wasn't so bad, especially because the numbers were pretty manageable. Nobody had to really take out a calculator to figure out how many burritos and burgers you can get. But if you needed to get a calculator, then you take out a calculator and see what you got. Oh. Alright, let's try another one. See what we got. Alright, so in our last one, you're making cell phone covers and selfie sticks. Cell phone covers for 15 and selfie sticks for 22. You make at least $500 from your sales. Okay, so we have 15x, so that's going to be our X is phone covers, and our Y is going to be our selfie sticks, plus 22y. It's going to be at least $500, so at least 500. And you know you cannot sell more than 50 selfie sticks, so your selfie sticks, which is Y, has to be less than 50. Now, one of the things that you have to realize here is it has to be bigger than 0 also, right? So you can't sell more than 50, but you also can't sell less than 0, right? Now you can't sell more than 50, but that doesn't mean you can't sell 50 itself, right? You have to sell more than 0, but it doesn't mean you can't sell 0 itself. So there's one last one, and that's that your number of phone covers has to be bigger than 0, right? As you can't sell negative phone covers. So you can't sell more than 50 selfie sticks, so that's this guy. We're going to write a system of linear inequalities to represent your situation. So here we go. So let's go and try to graph this guy. So I'll move my graph up just a little bit so that I can get the bottom of this guy in my screen. And it'll ask me for solutions here in a second. Okay, so let's try to graph this guy out here. Now, the first question is, how big do these numbers have to be? So if you make all x's, what do you get? 500 divided by 15, right? So let's take out our calculator, 500 divided by 15, and then 500. So if it's 500 divided by 15, which is our phone covers, we can buy 33, but not quite 33. Oh, you have to make at least that 500 profit, right? So if I don't sell 33 of them, if I don't sell 34 of them, I won't make enough profit, which is a little bit tricky. And so if we're only going to sell selfie sticks, we have to get at least 23. So it's 34 and 23. Okay? So that's one thing that's a little bit tricky. So x has to be at least 33 and y has to be at least 20. I believe I have those completely backwards. What's my numbers? So 34 and 23. 34 and 23. 34, yeah, dyslexic right here, huh? 34 and 23. Alright, so what else do we know? Well, we have to get to 34 and 23, and our y has to be below 50. So we need to make sure that these things get all the way to 50s, and we don't really need anything higher than that. So let's see, if we go 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. I think we can do this. So we're going to make each of these go by 10s. So each tick marks 5, so 5, 10, 15, so 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So here's our 50. So the easiest one to draw is this one right here. Y is less than or equal to 50, so that's going to be a horizontal line. Oh, sort of. Solid, it has to be less than. So everything has to be below here. Alright, what else do we know? So this equation, if we subtract over the 15x, we're going to get this 22y is greater than or equal to negative 15x plus the 500. Now, we should see something that we're kind of familiar with when I divide by this 22. That 500 divided by 22, that was my y, that was my 23. So my y-intercept is going to be 10, 23, somewhere in here. Now, you can also see it as a negative slope. So it's going to go down 15 over 22, and guess where it's going to end up at? It's end up over here at 34, because you already know kind of what those are. So that ends up being really the x-intercept and the y-intercept. There's my other line. And from here, we realize that this is a greater than symbol, so the arrow goes up. Now, one thing that we didn't limit ourselves to is, well, we still have our zeros, right? So y is greater than 0, so that's a horizontal line here. And it's greater, so it's going up. And x is greater than 0, so that's my vertical line here, and my arrow is going to the right. So everything points to this region. Now, the part that's interesting here is this is an unbounded region. You can keep going. You can sell more and more. You can't sell more and more selfie sticks, but you can sell more and more phone covers, because that's our side here, right? Selfie sticks here. And so what's our solution? So does it really matter what number you pick? 50, 0. If you sell 50 selfie sticks, or sorry, 50 phone covers and 0 selfie sticks, you're going to make over $500 in profit. And you can see that pretty easily, because if you do 50 times anything over 10, it's going to be over $500, right? So that's what we have. You know, the graph solution that we got is a little bit tricky. It's really tricky figuring out what to do with these numbers. A lot of people found these two numbers on the quiz. They knew that x had to be bigger than 34 and y had to be bigger than 23. It was a different context on the quiz. But they found the numbers, but they didn't know how to plot them. So hopefully this helped you plot them. If you need to watch it again, you can go ahead and watch it again. Do your best with these, and good luck. I will hopefully be around soon.